heritage. We American. This sound just like my relatives, just let me in. It's all heritage, skin in the game, we American. This Bugatti slaves all arrogant, here's my evidence. Got skin in the game, just let me in. Black Americans. This sound just like my relatives, just let me in. It's all heritage, skin in the game, we American. This Bugatti slaves all arrogant, here's my evidence. Got skin in the game, just let me in. Black Americans. Keep it simple. IDK, I'm just blowing smoke. Stupid bird talking shit, wondered why you choke. Dicks on the brain, stay out of my way, your past revoked. Usher 80s, 97, we not shit like that my way. You hoes could truly never drink coquito the whole December. Put a Karen logo, not today Karen. On my ugly sweater. All I want for New Year's is to clear my sector. Alien superstar, apply the pressure, it's like architecture. This sound just like my relatives, just let me in. It's all heritage, skin in the game, we Americans. This Bugatti slaves all arrogant, here's my evidence. Got skin in the game, just let me in. Black Americans. This sound just like my relatives, just let me in. It's all heritage, skin in the game, we American. This Bugatti slaves all arrogant, here's my evidence. Got skin in the game, just let me in. Black Americans. Something to go for, these are glorious days. Something to kill for, this that notorious way. Black on black everything, lifted every voice and made it sing. Brooklyn's up to bat, lucky 42, I'll take a swing. Just hold my ring, feel like a king. We out in Epicsville, still got massive pill, we in a lion's pit. Let me call Jay up and close the deal. Forever urban, you can put that on my seal. Broke down all color barriers, I drink where I want when I sit where I feel.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another episode of The Tea Show. I'm with a new guest today. Sorry, I'm the host. He's the guest. We had a few tech glitches, so we're here now, though. I am with John Rennie.
Yes, Rennie.
He goes by JR, though. JR?
Yep.
JR is the founder of a 30-year plus business. Let me say the plus part clear because we don't even know there's business that survived 30 years in our country anymore. But 30 years plus software company. And he's going to re-inspire directly. I thought I was going to ride off into the sunset and retire. All that changed in 2015 when God decided to redirect me to my true purpose. Promptings, new understandings, and inspired guidance brought to me founding the Bushfires Ministry. A ministry that helps our believers discover their God-given purpose and destiny, just like God has led me to mine. I love that. The reason I chose you for a guest for this week right now, because we're heading into Ramadan, then we have Easter, then we have Passover. I call it the Abrahamic religions, and they all kind of cross here and there. For me, it'd be the character is like Job is the one that I recognize in all of the books and the text, and I try to kind of read the Quran, the Torah, and the Bible. But this is why I brought you here to kind of bring us back. Because I wanted to come from a very holy space,
Okay.
but not like church in the way that we all go. So I love it. Let's hear some more about the Bushfires Ministry. They have created a program and a tool set, which I thought was really cool, that allows believers to discover their strengths and weaknesses. Because I think we need to work a little bit on being louder about the things that we think as weak. Because if we work there, then we can literally be legitimate, strong, and you could prove it. Once they have done this for themselves, you can go discover this for their family and friends and ministry members, which we're also building leadership. So those of you guys that don't know me, I've transitioned into more teaching. I've kind of left the corporate world. So I'm all about now looking from a child's point of view. I work with sixth graders at this point. I'm teaching sixth grade history, right? So I'm looking for spaces where there's more just humanity, where it's it doesn't matter where you come from. You could just enter this room and it doesn't matter where you are, come as you are kind of energy is what I want. So I love what JR has going on here. And this is kind of why I think I highlighted his bio and everything else. There's nothing worse than the feeling you're being misunderstood, overlooked, and spinning your wheels as a believer, right? Like, believe in something, but you can't fully tell, like, I feel like it's just me. I've definitely lived that life. This is like me every day. I read this. I'm like, what? How did you guys, what? I should know. JR should know. Tahyira definitely knows. His program and his services can help the believer to find their jam and achieve the joy-filled state of mind that only the Lord can provide. I mean, I never really have the words. Sometimes I do. I'm a writer, but that was beautiful. I love that.
Oh, thank you, Jay. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So that was me telling your bio. Now you can tell the people a little bit more about yourself, maybe where they can find it.
Sure. Well, the easiest place is to go to brushfires-digital.com and log in as a new user. There's a lot of free resources there, and you can start the process where you can actually sign up for one of our programs like the entry level, the premium level package, and start your own journey of discover your purpose.
Very good. Purpose. So have you felt like a long time that you have been driven on purpose?
Well,
I'm like, even to be an entrepreneur, that's a version of purpose, kind of, right? Because most people are like workers. So like, how did you know? I feel like that's something there.
yeah. So when I talk about purpose, I'm talking about a higher calling. As part of our program, the very end result is a person comes up with a purpose statement. And this is really how you are designed, wired by God to serve community. All purposes are about how you serve others and how you can make this world a better place based upon how God has wired you as his tool for service.
Love that. That's the way I've always kind of saw myself without someone like breaking it down like you. Like if I had you in my life as younger, to be like, oh, see, JR gets me. But like not knowing it, kind of living your life. I'm 37 now, right? Live your life, prove yourself, kind of show others and show to yourself. And then you can now start being like, well, I told you it was someone else that was like driving this whole mission, right? It was God. I always kind of had a calling, right? I feel like I did it the life way. You're doing it the like resource. Like, no, this is like a plan, you guys. Like, this is like you wrote it. Kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, it's weird. But I think a lot of people need that because sometimes we're just so into our everyday life, into our 9 to 5, into our kids, into our whatever. And it's like we forget that we're human beings on our godly mission to like find who we're meant to be and what our service is and our purpose is. I love
Right.
that. Yeah. Let's jump into these questions. Have you have anything else to say? Go ahead.
Yeah. So really what happens in this world is that we are conditioned by media and society to pursue things that don't make us joyful or content and fulfilled. And so we spend a huge part of our life going in directions that bear no real fruit, that don't really make us joyful and create a lot of frustration about life. But once you start pursuing and determining that you want to do what God created you to do, life changes dramatically then.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I have some questions for you for the T show.
Go for it.
Let's go. I love the intersection of software and divinity, being a millennial. Do you think we all should be thinking about our spirituality and how it relates to like our work life and like, our everyday, whatever we do?
Right. So great question. The reality here is that your interests and abilities are no mistake. They were given to you by God. It's not about your nurturing, how your family raised you and so forth. Your natural interests and abilities are wired into your DNA from the very beginning. And so therefore, when you start to look at how you excel at the workplace and how you excel in life, those are things that God has given you so that you are intended to use those for his kingdom. So me going from a software developer and working in that environment and then actually going into ministry, all that experience that I had was not going to be left behind. It was going to be used in service and used in to be able to actually accomplish what it is that what God wants to accomplish. Nothing is wasted in God's economy. So even the things that you would say are the worst moments of my life, the trauma, the disappointments and so forth, those are used by God for his glory to create goodness in this world. Sure. Let me give you one short thing. In 2013, I wrote an article called "What is Joy?" because I'd been in the church for quite a number of years at that point, and I was frustrated by seeing other people having joy and me not getting it. Yeah, I gave, and yeah, I read the Bible, and yeah, I attended church and so forth, but that did not give me joy. And it wasn't until this idea, this epiphany came to me that said, the reason why Paul could go through all that terrible trials and being beat up and stoned and drowned and all these things and still counted joy was because he was doing what God wanted him to do. He was doing what he was created to do.
That part.
And that is the secret to having a fulfilled life. If a purpose statement is about how you minister to others, then joy comes from doing what you were created to do.
I love that. That was so good. That's exactly how you said you use Paul. I use Job. It's like that faithfulness and like, I don't know. I just know that I was made for something and there's a higher calling. There's something bigger than me. It's powerful as me feel and strong and an entrepreneur and I'm doing a TV show, whatever. It's like, I don't do this because someone else, it's like sent me here to do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why I really believe. So I love that. I love that. I love that. Very good. From your experience, what are the common traits among people who are like walking on what I usually call it the lower frequency? I call it the walking dead, right? Like you're alive, but you're not really alive kind of way. Versus a person who is striving to be great or striving with their greatness, I should say.
Right. So even if you look at it from a non-spiritual sense, one of the best advices I ever heard from a leader, an entrepreneur, was that figure out how you can serve other people and then develop that service. So if we go back to my statement about the purpose statement, and that is all about serving others. The reason why other people, as you put it, are serving in their lower frequencies is because it's all about them. It's all about how they can achieve for them. It's all about how they can get the latest shoes or the newest phone or the biggest house.
Yes.
or travel and see the world. Like somehow that's going to fill up the God-shaped vacuum inside them. And the reality is they will always be discontent and unfulfilled because they are focusing on self and not on others, not on community, not on service, which is what God created them to do.
I love it. I love it. Sometimes when you say your answer, it sounds like, oh, duh. But like literally people need to hear it though, because it's like you say it so beautifully. I agree. I love it. Have you been like a teacher before or like?
Well, I have taught professionally because of my software background for decades.
Okay, yeah. You
but
explain things very, very clearly.
Thank you.
I love it. I would love to be a student over here. That's what I'm saying. Moving on right along though. How do you find community when you are unsure if you need it? Right? That kind of builds upon what you said just now. When me saying lower frequency, sometimes people are so when they say you hit rock bottom. Like, rock bottom is a space of like, all right, I literally can't go any lower than I literally am right now, right? So that's that. Like, how do you find it if you're not sure if you need it? And then what's that trigger for us, for each of us? Is it rock bottom? Is it like, tomorrow starts a new me? Like, what have you seen in your experience?
Yeah, so there's a couple answers there. I mean, for some people, they have to experience enough pain to be able to be willing to change. John Maxwell said that there's 4 reasons that a person will change, where they have suffered enough that they have to, where they have seen enough that they are inspired to, where they have learned enough that they want to, or where they have gained enough so they are able to. So pain is a great motivator, and some people need more pain than others. Ideally, we don't want our kids to learn that way. We would prefer them to be able to see truth and build upon truth and go forward. So for some people, it just requires them to do that. The aspect of community, though, and the benefit of hitting rock bottom. I mean, the benefit of hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
Is that you have exhausted all of your resources.
Yeah.
So really, you are in such a vulnerable position at that point where God is saying, I'm going to send my servant, Mary. I'm going to send my servant, Fred, to you, and he's going to give you a hand up. And we're going to work on you. And now you know what humility is because you reached the end of you. We work a lot with people that have come out of the addiction programs or ladies that are at UGM. And one of the common things that we've discovered is...
What's UGM?
UGM stands for Union Gospel Mission. It's a nationwide program that reaches men or women that are homeless or are
Nice. Okay. I lived in California for a while. I feel like I heard it then. I was just making sure I did hear it when I was on the ground there in Los Angeles. Mhm.
Yeah. And so one of the things about people that have gone through that program is that they have hit a level of humility that says, I need community. I need this program. I need other people in my life to keep me accountable. I need that. And so, yeah, hitting rock bottom can really suck, but it could be the way that your entire life can be restored.
Absolutely. I always see it like when I was asking that question and I'm thinking about what you just said is like the whole anonymous, right? Gamblers anonymous. It could be literally anything at this point. Gaming addiction anonymous, smoking too much weed anonymous. Like, but the anonymous part of it is kind of to tell you this is a judgment-free zone.
Right.
The fact that no one can tell anybody else that you were here kind of frees you at the space of rock bottom. Because even when you're at rock bottom, is like, I don't want people to know I'm at rock bottom, even though I'm at rock bottom. And we stay there longer, maybe. I experienced a lot of that stuff. And I say I lived in California. A lot of my, let's say, the things that kept me strong, the people I thought, my parents, my family members, it was just me and my husband out there. We didn't have any family. It was just friends we were running into. And it felt like I lost my community. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, it's like I'm building a new one and I'm definitely getting popular and whatever. But it's like that home Tahyira had nowhere to go home. And I crashed and, you know what I mean? I shared my mental health publicly, kind of why we do this. We're trying to bring the whole thing up. People who suffer from addiction, it's a version of mental health. People who are homeless. So those things are really being homeless is kind of like giving up. It's a version of living at rock bottom, right? I ran into so many people that we, you know, my family, we tried to start a nonprofit, just feeding people just right here in New York City as well. You know,
Right.
So I definitely dealt with that population. I studied crime, people that end up in prison and stuff. And it's kind of like no one even sees me as a person. And it kind of starts in high school, right? I'm a teacher. So I've seen it in so many different communities and I could definitely attest to that. That's really cool though, because I think Kareem, what you're trying to do at the let me make sure I say it right, Bushfires?
Right.
Bushfires, is that where that name kind of came about a little bit?
I'd love to claim
No, you don't have to.
I'd love to claim that that name was a research and I really thought it through. But the reality is, the moment that I looked at my purpose statement and I said, if you really believe this, what you're going to do about it, and that's when the ministry was conceived, and literally it was poured into me, and you're going to call it Bushfires.
Nice. There you go. Maybe that's it, just it. But I like I said, I understand it and we're sharing more of it here so that other people know we're tapping into our conversation right now. There are spaces to know. Sometimes you don't know you need help. Like there's times where I'm like, maybe I'll just learning to check in with yourself, right? So it's like you wouldn't know unless you do those checks. That's where the mental health thing comes back. Mental health, take a self-check. Ask yourself a question, you know, like,
Right.
do I need a little bit of help? Should I look for a little support? Should I reach out to a community member or something like that? Jump on, you know? So yeah, I love it. We have people out here encouraging you guys to see. So let's keep going. Can we holistically be better bosses, managers, and employees?
So leadership is really important to me. I have been put in leadership positions since I was 19 years old.
Mhm.
And I've seen so many bad leaders, so many really terrible leaders, that it winds up being a real sore point for me. So the short answer is yes, everyone can. But the idea is that certain people believe that, you know, to be a boss means I have to order people around and be cruel, and others, you know, well, I just offer lots of money and I do this, and that you really have to again be looking at the people that you are leading and take it as Jesus did, as a responsibility that you're going to be held accountable for. We look at this from a standpoint of a service leader, okay, where you are literally there in a position of responsibility that you're going to be held accountable for. And how can you do the best for the people that you are overseeing, that you're working with? Let me give you an example. So the end result of our 3-hour coaching session, called a design discovery meeting, or DDM for short, is a purpose statement. Before I go into that, before we start that process, as we're recording the Zoom coaching session, I literally ask God openly, guide me on this. I need you to guard every thought that goes through my head, every word that comes to my mouth. Why? Because I'm going to be held accountable for coming up with this purpose statement for this person, this daughter, this son of God. And if I screw it up, that's on me.
On me.
And I want to make sure that I do the absolute best job. So how can I assure? I'm asking God to tell me how he created his daughter and his son. Well, who best to invite into the process than the creator of them? And
Right.
so I take the responsibility seriously. And if leaders really did take their responsibility and their positions more seriously, we would have much better leaders.
Yeah. I ask that question generally, generationally, because I would say I'm a person in a younger generation than you, but also working towards leadership. And I would say like just the millennial vibe and our energy alone makes us like different when people are like, maybe we're not as successful as the generations before, but it's because we're not trying to eat each other. Like, we're like, okay, let's all work. I have people come on my website who try to like write other people, bigger names, CNN, Fox, whatever. I have a media site. We're building a little, like I call it a breakfast nook on the internet. We just got on Google News and we're competing with big dogs, right? Corporations that everyone else that has a small business. And it's the writers who will come and be like, they'll share it on their own thing. Like, Tahyira was the only person that kind of like gave me an opportunity to like show what I could even do. Like these people were like, oh no, you need this. And I'm like, hey, you come on my site, you want to see Rain. Like I've seen people turn, like I have a whole music page now, her name is Madison and she's younger than me, and just to see like, here, I've been looking for something and I'm like, oh, I made something. I didn't even know that that's where I was going with it. I was like, I'm just building stuff on the internet. Like I like to write, I like to talk. It's part of what we do. But like when my employees started sharing things like that, I started thinking about it like, wait, you're trying to not be the boss that you had. That's why you're like that. It's like I'll pay and I'll try to help and I'm just boosting people from the inside out. It's like it's not always money. I'm not rich,
Right.
but it's like I can give your words a place, a platform, and now other people are sharing it. And now the artist that you interview feels like you help them, and that gives you that. You feel me? So I'm like, that's why I asked that question because I'm like, I feel like it's changing already. We're definitely fighting generationally, like older people. No, just minimum wage, everybody. I'm like, doesn't work. Like we have to change it up. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
If you look at, again, from the standpoint of community, all right, so let's just look at this. We are a small growing ministry. We were established in 2017. So we are a long way from where I know that God is leading us to be. But there are people that you have contacts with, that you have influence over, that you can speak to, that I would never be able to speak to. So you are giving me a platform right now to be able to speak to your followers and your opportunities to be able to raise me up. And in turn, maybe one of those people are going to reach out to us and we're going to be able to lift them up.
Absolutely.
But I would have never been able to have done that if you didn't give us the opportunity to be able to do it.
I hear you. That is the way I see like God in the world and humanity though, right? It's like, it's not like you don't fill the big space. You just do your little line. And that little line connects to that line. And there's so many of us here. Like, we all have, so definitely. That's why I wanted to bring you on because I don't feel like we've been covering a lot of like business and you know what I mean? Things that's not necessarily like the good things in life. And I'm like, let's switch it up because if we're going to be a part of the community that we're like, we also have to bring different conversations to the audience. So that's actually definitely, I appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. This was really, really great. We're going to segue a little bit now just into our producer questions. Sure, I have them here. More specific to the brush fire. So hopefully we can get some people to sign up. That is part of it. Quick question. Is it like a fee that people pay? They go to the website and they find out.
Right. So they can either do a monthly subscription or they can do a package. The entry level package includes the teaching, includes the assessments, the workbook. The premium package includes all that plus the 3-hour coaching session at the end to be able to generate your purpose statement.
Nice. We'll definitely like link all that, tag all that, you guys, into our bio and stuff like that. We will also we're trying to see how we can like literally like give a code or something like that. So we'll talk to JR offline to see if we can just get you guys a little discount, maybe if it's possible to help you guys to just sign up. So that was it. So the YMI assessment, like why do you guys like use that, or what was the maybe thinking behind the development of that? And does it focus more on the mental health part or just the person's like personality part?
So we start with the personality part of it because personality is the gateway to what's going to hurt you. So For instance, we have one of our assessments. There's actually 11 different assessments. And one of the assessments is called the impact style assessment. And this is how you are wired to make the most impact. Just by talking to you, you clearly have persuader in you. You're a person that was created to use your voice to make a difference. And that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. So we look at that, and the way that the enemy, this world, is going to hurt you, it's not by going after your weaknesses. That's not it. It's going after your strengths. So you doubt who it is that God created you to be. So in my particular situation, I am what's called a director persuader. So the directors want to create order out of chaos. In other words, we see chaos out there. We're going, we can't have that. People are going to get hurt. Let's bring it under order. And then persuader is the part of that I share with you. So we use our words to be able to do that. Now, that means that my cooperator is really, really low. I'm not going to be the very first person to volunteer to help in every little thing.
Right.
And my analyst is 0. So I write. Okay. I have multiple books. I write plays. I write short stories. I write poems and so forth. If somebody finds something that is grammatically incorrect or isn't as clear as it could be, and so forth, I don't take any offense to that because my analyst, which is the one which is all about perfection, is 0. So I go, oh, thanks for pointing that out. Cut, paste, fix. We're done. But what would hurt me is that something I tried to make better made something worse. Mm-hmm. So my director, which is very powerful in my being, has been used and somehow has hurt and made a situation worse. Or that my words were misconstrued or were not properly understood. And so therefore, it hurt somebody. See, the enemy goes after your strengths. He wants you to doubt what God created you to be so that you do not do what God created you to do.
That's 100% legit. You hit the nail right on the head with me, because the issue that I fight the most, I would say, is getting my voice out there. Like, I may be good, but like my views are low. I feel like we get censored for being Black women. So you just literally just said that, because I'm like, that's what it is. I don't feel like I'm ever going to stop, but it's like, that's where all the like, how come, literally I have people like, how come this doesn't have more views? And I'm like, I really can't tell you. You know what I mean? I'm always like, well, if people are saying like, and you just said it, the enemy comes after your strength, not your weaknesses. So it's like, and I kind of been like tapping a little bit more when I moved out to LA, and it was kind of like, whatever, I'm already out here. And I kind of like, when I moved to LA, kind of filled like a void of like, you can do this. So it's like, forget what other people are saying, kind of quiet the outside noise. But still, we're living in media, metrics, data, YouTube channels, whatever. And I'm like, is it fun? But it's that. Every time I feel like, you know what, maybe I should. And it's like, no, that's why this is happening for you to stop here. You just said that. So I'm like, wow, like that's really, really interesting. That's really interesting that you figured that part out. I love that. Okay, I'm going to hold on that one. That was the gem of the story, you guys. You just nailed it. And you guys, they know already. Like, how many of you know that the hero's being blocked? You're going to get a lot more customers now, Jay. We're moving on more about like the churches in general. So I think this question is more about like churches maybe like we see in the United States right now. We'll just keep it here. Why do we think the numbers, like the number of attendance of people who go to church physically, let's say maybe, or maybe because a lot of people go online now too. So it's kind of weird. But like, let's say churches in general, it's like dwindling. Why do you think less people are paying attention to like church?
So there's a number of reasons in that area, but I think as a general rule, the church in America has lost its way. It's lost its first love. And there's a story that talks about the history of the church, and it says when the church came over from Europe into America, it became a business. Mm-hmm. And this child says, well, isn't the church the body of Christ? Yes. So what do you call a person that sells their body? We call it a prostitute.
That part. I'm like, wait.
And the church, as not as a whole, but enough of it has become a business and has sold itself.
Yeah.
And so and of course, that is just a broad statement, and there are a lot of really good churches that are out there. But the reality is, until the church actually gets into its business, which is to create disciples of Christ, when Christ left, he gave the church one command: go and create disciples in all the world. He didn't say go out and create people that are going to give you lots of money. He didn't say go out there and create a bunch of people that are wishy-washy because you made a decision, but they're not a disciple. To be a disciple, that means that you are following your leader. You're
He didn't say go out to get the biggest building so you can have the biggest congregation. Because I'm like, look at that. Jesus used to just hang out in the park and really just do it there.
I mean, there's legitimate reasons to have decent facilities and so forth, but man, we go over the top.
It's that's not the main thing though. People are showing all I don't care about the church. What goes on inside of the church is more, you know what I mean?
What are the people like? Are they serving their community? Are they serving one another? Are they building one another up? Are they actually creating disciples? If they're doing that, then God bless you. And I don't care how big your building is. But if they're not doing what Christ called them to do, then they're missing the mark. And
absolutely.
And so, maybe the younger generation has just seen enough of that. Now, I will tell you, there are different areas. There are revivals, and oftentimes it's happening in colleges where this is spontaneous, where God is reaching his children directly in spite of the church.
Yeah.
So if we can help young people, people that have gone through our program, the youngest age is 15, but we've dealt with people as old as 85 years old.
Nice. I love that.
So there is no expiration date on your purpose. God is always ready to partner with you to accomplish his purposes here on earth. Ideally, we can get them at 18 and 20 years old. But you know what? If you're like me and you wait until you're 57, that's okay too.
That's okay too. Absolutely. Just 2 more questions for you that we're going to run on. Our interviewer is going to, we are running out of time, so we're just moving. What is your definition of hell?
Well, I think
what is it when you hear the word hell? What do people really mean by that?
Well, I'll tell you what my initial reaction is, and it's unique to each one of us. Okay, so for me, hell is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again,
like insanity,
and just drives me insane. So I need that diversity of challenges for me to sink my teeth in. But hell, unfortunately, hell is a byproduct of us not making disciples like we're called to. And hell is a personal choice that individuals choose. Nobody is sent to hell. They have a free opportunity to accept Christ free of charge. All cost
I love that.
All it costs you is your pride and to humble yourself to say that I actually need a savior. So everybody else that winds up going to hell is because they made a choice to go there. Now, could the church have done a much better job of representing Christ? Yes. And so some of that is on us.
Yes. Agreed. Final question, just because we're in Lent, what has this Lent brought you, JR, specifically you, outside of the tea show?
So when I think of Lent, because my birthday is in the beginning of April, and so Easter oftentimes falls right around my birthday, so it matters to me. And the thing about it is that when I think about it, I always focus in on Good Friday, which is not.
My family, we celebrate that one all the time.
Yeah, and as a company, I always gave that out as an employee holiday. That was an important thing for me. More so than even Easter, because Lent, Good Friday shows what Christ actually did for us. And if you haven't seen the Passion of the Christ, you should see that, because
I saw it one time, but I can't watch it again. It's tattooed on my brain.
Watch it again, because
I'll try it. Maybe this year.
We need to be reminded of what our salvation what cost Christ, and what being a servant leader and obedience actually looked like in his life. So So when I look at that, I look at the sacrifice that was done so that I could actually have a restored relationship with God. And that matters. And the reality is, as a father, I would never have put my son through what our Heavenly Father put his son through.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never done that. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I'm telling your audience right now, if
Mhm.
your salvation depended upon me sacrificing my son, we'd all be going to hell. Okay? Because I would not do that.
I can't. I don't know how.
But God could.
Yeah.
And God did. And so we are.
So we are. Ooh, I love that. We can end right on that note. It's beautiful. I love it. This is one of my favorite conversations. I'm just saying that are now a part of the conversation. Is there anything else that you wanted to like maybe just mention? Is there where people can follow you? Is there, I know we connected like on your podcast. If you want to shout out your own podcast right now.
Yeah. So really, it's all about brushfires-digital.com. Go there. Most of the podcasts that I've been on, we have recordings of all those. People, so T, we would love to include yours.
Yeah, we'll send you the footage.
Right. And then basically, it's all about helping people figure out what their purpose is. And so if there's a way that we can do that, go there. We have a Spotify channel. We actually have a song that was written by one of our graduates that will be released. It's actually right now going through mixing, but it's going to be powerful. It's going to be really powerful.
They got to send me that one. I listen to fate music all the time, and we'll put it out there. I'll put it on TikTok. I'll make a video.
Thank you.
No, for real. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. I'll make sure that we send that to you. But yeah, so you can get all that on the digital brushfires-digital.com site, and the links are all in there.
All right. Well, we're going to end here, my friends. This was great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the T Show. I am with JR, Bushfires Ministry. This was great. Happy Lent to you guys. Happy Easter, happy Ramadan, happy Passover, happy all of them. I want to say, hopefully you guys heard what we said here and just take some of that into your own personal lives. See you later, John.
Cheers.
Bye.